We've got a number of our guests starting to join us, and we'll just give them a minute or two to gather in. Just while we're waiting, I'll run through a little bit of the housekeeping for today. We're not going to go live mics for questions today, just to keep to time, keep a bit of order. But for any of our guests, please feel free to use the Q&A or the chat function to send us your questions as we go. We will give you the benefit of anonymity. So if you do want to ask a question, but you're worried about us disclosing which company you're from, don't worry, we will ask the question, but we will not identify who has put the question forward. We will get to you, we'll answer them in the run in different parts. So also for any of you who have come on and have colleagues who you would have liked to have had on with us today as well, we will have a recording of the session that we'll put out later on this afternoon, all things being equal. So that'll be there, for 24 hours for people to be able to share out to their contacts. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're delighted to be joined today by one of our corporate members and a winner at the recent Irish Australian Business Awards. Goodness me, October, packed room in Sydney. That seems like a long time ago.
Lifetime.
In a very, very different world. For anyone who was there on the night, you'll have got a bit of a taste in terms of Sally Ann's business. They are a surveying business based out of WA, but have implemented the use of technology and innovation quite well in their markets. They've been working with independents up to the tier ones. Their growth knows no bounds. They'll be doing more and more over east. So delighted to see we've got plenty of East Coast and West Coast participation today. I think we've got a few New Zealanders on there as well. So welcome to you also. Sally Ann.
Yes.
The business was going great guns. You were looking at lots and lots of really exciting things. All of a sudden, we had a lockdown. We weren't allowed to go anywhere, do anything, talk to anyone. How did you pivot the business?
Gosh, yeah, we were looking forward to a very exciting 2020. And then, as you say, COVID-19 came along, and all of a sudden, every project that we had lined up was put on hold, from rail, construction, motorways, while our clients were trying to grapple with keeping the workforce safe and how they were going to continue with the work, and at the same time, not impact the community or their workers, or so it was really a big challenge. I suppose in Western Australia, we were kind of unique because a lot of the big rail projects we were working on were up in the Pilbara. So those clients really wanted to get staff up there and keep them up there for a long time while they were healthy and well and safe, and not let them back down into an environment where they were mixing more with community. So that presented a huge challenge in terms of people's mental health and how long they were going to be staying away from home. And we had a lot of work to do around that. And really things are only now starting to kick off again up there. Now that everybody's figured out what they need to do, there's a lot of testing at the airports. And we just have to make sure we're complying with everything the clients want us to do, and at the same time, deliver the work using the technology that we have for rail, and making sure that our staff are kept mentally happy and the client is happy with the progress of the project. So it's been a challenge. There's been a big financial hit in the first 6 months of last 3 months of this year, but hopefully that'll improve now that things are starting to relax a little bit and everybody's kind of got into more of a rhythm around COVID-19, and not that we've become relaxed about it, but I suppose that you've kind of become more familiar with what your day looks like now. There isn't so much guesswork and worry about it. We kind of know what we need to do. And in terms of the work that we're doing down here, in part on the construction projects down here, really construction on the projects that we were working on hasn't restarted just yet, but the dilapidation survey part of that has been able to continue because of what we've been able to, the solutions we've been able to come up with for our clients.
Just let's delve into that a little bit, because we have noticed that over the piece we have individuals from within the sector who are coming on to these sessions, but others who are just really keen to, you know, get a handle on what other people are doing and understand the innovation, whatever. So you talk about dilapidation. You and I have talked about it and sort of where it sits in the program of work. But for those outside the industry who are listening in, can you explain to us why it's necessary and why it has to be done before the jobs can start?
Yeah, so any major construction project that's taking place, particularly in a built-up area, the works that the construction company put into place and the equipment that they're using can cause vibrations on the ground, and that can impact a person's home if they're within 100 meters of the construction zone. It can influence a business building. Cracks can appear, damage can be done. So it's really important for the construction company to understand the condition of all the assets within the construction zone prior to the works beginning, because it's their responsibility at the end of the project to come back and rehabilitate any of those buildings, bring them back to the condition that they were in before construction starts. So you can imagine it's a challenge really, because the construction company are relying on a report that comes in to say this is what the house looks like, you know, a month before the construction starts, and you can't have it too far out because things can happen. You hopefully will get the report done as close to the beginning of construction as possible, so you're getting the most accurate picture of what the asset looks like. So that involves our surveyors going into people's homes, going into all of the rooms, capturing photographs and measuring cracks or defects that exist in the house as it stands at the moment, internally and externally, and delivering that report to the client so that they know what the house looks like. So that's really what a dilapidation survey is. You can have one done before the construction begins, and then you can have one done when the construction is finished, so the client can compare one with the other. It keeps everybody honest, I suppose. The homeowner knows that they're protected because they agree that the report that we take on the first day is a valid record of the house on the day. And then likewise at the end of the project, when we do the post-survey, they also agree that that's the condition of the house. And that's the point where negotiations start, if necessary. If they're making a claim to the contractor that some damage has been done to their house, everybody has the proof. So it takes out all the arguing, it takes out, you know, he said, she said, the proof is right there in black and white. So that's what the role of the dilapidation survey is. It can be a very expensive exercise if it's not done correctly and a homeowner is claiming for damage that may or may not have been there. So we like to think that we deliver a really good report to the client, and our clients have not experienced too many difficulties after the project.
Okay, so really it's part of the project risk management. And you can see why a project wouldn't proceed until they had that baseline, because the exposure would be potentially enormous, particularly when you're working around an urban environment. So, okay, well, that explains that part of it to us. The
other thing you have to remember, Barry, is you're going into people's homes. You know, their home is their castle. Just because you're building a big motorway that's going to improve, you know, the traffic flow in the city and things that are important to the economy and the big picture stuff, at the end of the day, you're using somebody's home and reporting the condition of the home, and it can be very sensitive, and homeowners can be very, as anybody would be, a little bit nervous about a stranger coming into their house and taking photographs. So it's our job at McDonald Surveys to make sure that that homeowner is comfortable before our survey arrives at the door, that they know exactly what we're going to do, the purpose of it, the protection it's going to give them. And my team at McDonald Surveys, I have to do a big shout out to the girls, to Rosalind and to Rianne in the office. They work very hard to ensure that those homeowners are comfortable, so that when the surveyors rock up to the front door, everything runs smoothly. And that's what our clients want as well. They don't want the project on the front page of the Sunday paper because, some weirdo came into their house with a camera and took weird pictures. You have to be very professional, very careful. So, yeah, look, my team does a great job with that.
Okay, so that the traditional scenario would have been the surveyor walking through the house, getting that condition report done and whatever. I can absolutely understand in the current environment that people would be a little bit nervous in terms of letting a stranger in, and the risks around COVID, and I can see why some jobs would have stopped while a solution was found to that, because you want to keep everyone safe, you want to get the job up and running, but ultimately doing that while exposing yourself to millions upon millions of dollars of risk is going to be a challenge. You guys caught the eye of the judges last year at the awards around many facets, but one being the investment in technology that you made, creating something out of the box for yourself that actually delivered a platform for the business to operate, but the clients to interact. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so over the past 3 years, we started about 3 years ago developing our cloud platform called Inspective. So it's a piece of software that we designed specifically for this discipline of surveying, because of our experience on the different steps required along the path of a dilapidation survey project. This platform allows us to create a community engagement piece where the homeowners can get online and book their appointments themselves for the surveys. It allows the surveyor to upload all the images immediately after the survey, and the report begins to self-build. It allows our clients to log in to the software and they can sort of see what our progress is in terms of scheduling, in terms of surveys complete. The clients can look at the survey report online. And also a very important part of this software is it creates a database, if you like, of all the touch points that we have with the homeowners throughout the whole process. So from sending out their letters to say, come and have your house surveyed, book online, what the homeowners booked, any comments that they've made, any phone calls that we've had with them. We also have the ability critically for our clients to identify an asset or a homeowner that might be a little bit high risk. So if a homeowner says to you something like, when am I going to be able to claim on the damage? The surveyor can immediately mark a note, into the report on the software. And the client will see that straight away. It gets red flagged as a high risk asset, and the client can send their community liaison person out to that house, calm things down, make sure they know that the reports are going to prove everything and hopefully protect my client from any financial impact of that risk. So the software gathers all of that information, and at the end of the project, the girls in the office take that database and they give it back to our client. So the client can keep a record of that and they can use that to give to their clients. So in our case here, we might have to give it back to the PTA or to Main Roads, Western Australia. I suppose you'd have Vic Roads in Victoria. They want to make sure that the community has been well taken care of throughout the process, and this database can prove all that for them. So Inspective it's been very successful for us. It speeds up our process, and we're continuing to invest in new developments and new upgrades to the software all the time as we discover new methods of doing things and faster ways of doing things. So it's been an integral part of our success with dilapidation surveys.
Okay, so you created that technology platform that has allowed you to innovate in the way that you have to respond to the current crisis, which if you're okay, we'll have a little look at what it actually looks like when people are coming along and doing it at at the premises. So
just before you show that, Barry, can I just say that the reason why this even came up in this, what you're going to show in the video, was because a project that we had started here in Perth on Claremont was already up and running, and we were doing the dilapidation surveys in the normal way where the surveyor goes in. And then Mark McGowan's government here, our Premier in WA, contacted the PTA and said, you know, we've got social distancing in place now, you can't have surveyors going into houses, you need to find another way to do it. So the PTA spoke to their contractor, who was John Holland. John Holland contacted us and said, we need to find another way to do this. We need a survey, but you can't send a surveyor into the house. So we were like, okay, how are we going to do that? But again, yeah, solve that problem. And we talked about drones. We talked about robots. We had a great laugh actually coming up with all the different ideas. But essentially, I suppose one of the benefits of being a small company is you can turn very quickly and you can innovate very quickly. So myself and Roz and Rianne and the 4 surveyors and a couple of the other people in the office sat down, and the idea we eventually came up with, I suppose, to cut a long story short, is the self-survey option. So that was a scenario where we would provide all of the information, including the equipment, a sample report, some guidance, if you like, to the homeowner. We would give them a package in a self-distancing, safe sort of manner, walk them through how they would do the survey themselves and see how that would go. So that went back to John Holland, up to the PTA and back into McGowan government. They said, yeah, test that. So we went and we tested it with 2 homes in the area. This all happened now within about 4 days. And the test came back very well. The homeowner, took about 15 minutes to get used to the technology, but the surveyor was outside the door on the phone, ready to answer any questions. And it worked really well. So as a result, show the video and people can see what we did.
All right,
Thanks, Barry.
Let's roll with that. Okay, that's all very slick, Sally Ann. And I have to say, the resident has a lovely house and was very tidy. So
It was actually my house. Oh my God, I was cleaning for a week.
oh, goodness me. Well, the idea of doing the survey myself would appeal to me because I don't need to find somewhere to put the laundry that hasn't been put away.
Yeah.
Uh, but in terms of the practicalities of that, um, what's the impact for you in terms of the time that it takes to get things done? What's the additional cost? How does it transition to the client?
Yeah.
Is this something that's making you more efficient?
Look, it hasn't given us more efficiencies. It certainly takes, I would imagine, so our surveyor typically will take 5 packs to 5 houses in a row. Okay, and he sits outside the door or in the area in his car, ready to take phone calls from any of the homeowners who are having any issues at all. So there's a little bit more time involved there because, it depends on people's attitude to technology and how used they are to it. Some people can fly through it very quickly. Some people it takes a little bit longer. But once we get the information back from them, it's very quick. In fact, historically, the surveyor would come back to the office at the end of the day and start uploading everything then. But as you can see, as soon as he gets the pack back from a homeowner, he can straight away start downloading the images into the software. That's what he was doing in the car there. So in some areas, it's a little bit more efficient. In some areas, it's slower. We're finding, I would say, yeah, look, we're probably taking a couple of more hours than we would if we were doing it ourselves. And not every homeowner is electing to take this option. Some of them are saying, look, I don't mind somebody coming into the house. Once they social distance from me and if they stay away, they might sit in the kitchen while the surveyor's in the other areas. So it's not for everybody, but for those homeowners who are cool with technology, who are used to using cameras and uploading stuff, it's very straightforward and very simple. So look, it delivers that solution of maintaining the social distance. It gives the client a reasonable report. I wouldn't say now they're as good as if we were doing them ourselves, but they're not bad by any means. And the homeowner still has to sign off and say that, in their opinion, on the day, they've captured everything that's in the house. So there's still that security there for our client. And yeah, it's working very well. Yeah.
Okay, so we've had a question from some of our audience. Great video, genius idea. There you go. Well, good spent on the marketing there, Sally Ann.
I'll put that down to the girls in the office. It's definitely not me.
Can imagine it's difficult to organise with the residents. Roughly how many houses with social distancing do you have to carry out in this manner? So, is it sort of half and half, people wanting to go this way as opposed to a traditional method, or where is it?
Well, at the beginning, when we brought this out to the market, this solution, it was probably about 4 weeks ago, kind of at the height of COVID. What's going on with COVID, and a lot of people took up the option. Now people are a little bit more relaxed. We're finding now that people are liking to do it themselves in the evening when they get home from work. For anybody who's still in an office, who don't want somebody coming into their house, they can do it themselves. I would say probably 60-40 at the moment, 40% being the self-survey. But it just depends on the area. It depends, it depends on the homeowners and how familiar they are with technology. You just don't know from street to street or road to road. It just, we take it all one at a time. And the girls in the office, as I said, when they speak to these homeowners or when they make the appointments through the software, we give them the option of which version they want, if they want to do the self-survey or if they want the survey to come in. And so the girls have a good chat with them so that the homeowners are, as I said earlier on, very calm. They know what's going to happen. They understand. It's just, look, it's all about options, and everybody likes an option.
Yeah, and I think fundamentally, if these surveys didn't happen, so the proportion of those residents who said, no, I'm not having a survey in the house,
Yeah.
rather than the project coming to a grinding halt and no one actually be able to
Yeah.
get on site.
Yeah.
You have a solution just by thinking around the problem. I know when we talked about it, first of all, I was looking at it and I said, but it's so simple. How come, people aren't doing this already? And it was amazing to find out that it was a new thing and having to get, ticked off by all the various stakeholders and whatever. Just one of those brilliant ideas that just seems so simple until you realize no one's actually thought of it before. So good on you. And we've had a couple of comments in from the audience around how that you're indirectly upskilling the residents of Claremont in digital capabilities. So well done on that front. We have another question around liability. So if the resident is doing something and something has been missed, and then it comes back into litigation, whatever, what sort of process have you got to make sure that they actually do take all the correct photos, they do take the measurements, the quality is up to standard, and there is, I think you talked about a waiver in place?
Yeah, so that's the critical piece. When the surveyor is doing the survey, they go into the home, they capture the condition of all the rooms and all the areas. And then in our normal process, if you like, they sit with the homeowner, they review all the photographs, they go one by one, homeowner agrees, and then the homeowner digitally signs the report. And they understand that by digitally signing the report there and then, they're agreeing that everything has been captured and that is the condition of the home on that day. So that's the protection, and the document, I suppose, the client can go back to and say, look, you've signed this. You said it was correct on the day, so, that's it. In terms of the self-survey, yeah, look, I suppose there is a bit of exposure there, hoping that they will capture everything. But at the same time, the homeowner is also signing a paper document to say they think that that's the condition on the day and they have captured everything that they want recorded. So it's the same coverage, I guess, if you like. If we find that there's a photograph that was very badly taken, when we download the images and something's been it's blurry and we can't really make it out, we can ask the homeowner if they will take it again, and they know that that's an option. And in most cases, when you manage it correctly and when you're dealing with the homeowner and you develop a relationship, and our surveyors are really good about connecting with these people, the idea that you might have to go back in a second time, it's not an issue. We've never had an issue with it. They've always said, yeah, no worries, come back in. We work very hard to make sure that it's a good relationship, that it's an easy relationship. I suppose we put a bit of the old Irish, how are you into it? And it works out very well. And we've really never had a homeowner complain about us being in their homes. We've gone back to several homes for one or two pictures, and on all occasions it's worked out very well.
Okay. We've had a question in just wondering about how often you do have disputes after a construction project around dilapidation, where someone says, oh, my retaining walls collapsed, or I've got cracks all over the bedrooms or whatever. I'm guessing it's probably fairly regular, otherwise why would they insist on having this done in advance?
Yeah, well, look, to be honest, I don't have the figures from my clients about around how many arguments they have afterwards. I mean, the clients really don't want to get into arguments. What they want to do is look at the proof. If there has been damage, as far as I know from talking to my clients, they sort it out straight away. The client as well doesn't want to have their project impacted by bad press, or by a homeowner calling their local government and saying, hey, there's an issue with this. My experience, in fact, in the last 4 years, I haven't come across a complaint that's gone beyond the client's office, where they say, okay, we'll come out and have a look at it. The clients also have fantastic community liaison people who go out there, so we work closely with them as well. But to answer your question, Barry, I don't have the figures on that. I don't know how many times big issues have happened. My experience is in the projects that I've worked on with our staff, we haven't come across anything significant.
Okay, we've another question around how do you deal with the risks around defects that don't present during the construction period? So the defects liability period, post-construction, how does the product help with that? I'm guessing it's just the baseline.
Yeah, it is. We can only go on the records that we have at the beginning, and if the client wants us to do a post-construction survey, we can go back in, and what we do is we take the original image, line it up beside the next image and see is there any difference between the two. If something new shows up in between, I would imagine my client would have to fix that, because that's the point of the survey. You've captured everything that was in the house at the beginning. If something new shows up in between, well, then the homeowner has a case.
Okay. A question around the operability of your solution in different environments. So I take it, you can do this on a Vic project, New South Wales project, whatever. It's just literally having the capability, the technology platform, the training.
Yeah.
For others, your platform that you've invested in, do you make that available to anyone else, or would you have to be brought in as the partner on the job?
No, we can make the software available, so we can sell it on a license basis if you like. If there's a client over east that wants to do the surveys themselves, but to use the software to help them manage the project, yeah, we can say, look, if you've got 200 houses or 2,000 houses or whatever, there's a price for using the software for that number. And then we give them a help desk back here in Perth to make sure that they know how to use it. It's very straightforward. It's very intuitive when you go through it. We have had some clients use it over here and it's working out very well. So yeah, it's definitely mobile. It's all cloud-based, so it doesn't really matter where you are. And we can also help, if for those clients who want us to come and train their guys or girls on how to do the surveys, we can do that as well. Or if they want to use the packs for the self-survey, we can help with that. So we don't necessarily have to be there on the ground. If the client wants to buy the package and do it themselves, that's definitely an option.
Okay, so you can partner in the solution. The solution's been developed. It can either be delivered by you or by others.
Yeah.
It's there and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
I know we're a wee bit over time, but if you don't have a hard stop, if we could just maybe get another question or two to you.
Okay.
In terms of suitability for other projects, you referenced a rail project.
Yeah.
Suitability around general construction, road projects, whatever.
It doesn't matter what the construction is, what's being built. The point is, if it's going to create vibrations in the grounds or any impacts on the assets in the area, be they, houses, businesses, heritage buildings. And we have a specific solution actually for heritage buildings because we have found that using camera shots is just not good enough. You can imagine a heritage building has thousands of cracks in it. So we use a 3D solution for that, where we capture all of the photography in spherical images, if you like, and that can be hosted online as well, so that when the client gets the report, as opposed to a written report, they're getting a visual 3D report online, and they just move through it, like you would with your mouse on your laptop. So that's a really good solution for environments, and also very large environments like commercial buildings where you've got big warehouses. It's also a very good solution for environments where there's a lot of technology. So for example, a university science lab or a library, or assets that have a lot of items, for lack of a better word, within a room, like a pump house or an industrial boiler room, where there's all these pipes, everything going everywhere. That 3D solution is a great, it delivers a great report for the clients as opposed to individual photographs.
Okay. Last but not least, do you see McDonald Surveys offering this as an option when we emerge from the various restrictions? Do you think that customer behaviour will be such that it'll remain part of your offering?
Look, it's definitely definitely would be there, and definitely we would talk to our clients about it, depending on what our clients want and the level of risk that they want to take. Obviously, I would say the best solution is our surveyors who are experienced and they know how to capture everything and take a really good photograph and measure the cracks correctly, etc. But there are environments or situations where the self-survey might work better. So look, it's about delivering what our clients want. It's not up to me to decide what's best for the client. It's up to the client to decide what's best for their project. And we're certainly, we're all about client delivery and client relationships. So if that's what the client wants, that's what we're going to do, and do it to the best of our ability. So, any combination that will work for the project, we are definitely keen to work with the clients.
Okay. Conscious of time, and we've gone a little bit over.
Yeah.
But look, that was a great chat, Sally Ann, and the reality is it's a beautiful solution by the simplicity of it.
Thank you.
I'm kicking myself that I didn't dream it up before you did. So look, it's there. It's making a difference. We're going to see it on the East Coast shortly in some work over here, I've no doubt.
Yeah.
It's just great to see Irish Australian innovation that's actually allowing these projects to get started and get all those crews out on site, because that's going to sustain us for the weeks and months ahead. So well done you for the contribution to the industry as well, and we look forward to hearing the next brilliant idea when it comes up.
Oh God, the pressure. But again, look, thanks very much for the opportunity to talk about it, Barry. Again, I have to thank everybody in my office because I have a great team. I'm very, very lucky. They're great, they're loyal, their staff have been with us for years. They're just great people. So together we all come up with this idea. So thanks for the time. And by the way, these webinars have been fantastic. Well done to you and the guys there at the Chamber. I think a lot of them have been so informative. I've been watching them all along. So well done on that to you too.
Thanks, Sally Ann.